It's getting recorded, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can start. So first question is like image smoother. They have given a 2D matrix, integer matrix, which would be representing the grayscale of an image, and we need to design a smoother to make the grayscale of each cell becomes the average grayscale. Yeah. Rounding down of all the 8 surrounding cells and itself. And if a cell has less than 8 surrounding cells, then use as many as you can. So yeah, it's like for all the points they'll check all the surroundings and take an average of it and then putting it. So for you can see for 0002 this floor of 1 plus 2 plus 3 by 4 all doing and taking the floor of it, which is 0. Just they are substituting it to the values. And the value given in the matrix is in the range of 0 to 255, and length and width of the given matrix is in range 1 to 150. Yeah, any queries?
So for the average, the division is an integer division. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, so if it's like all of the 8 neighbors along it, okay,
The
all of the 8 as
number
well as,
is,
yeah, if they are not 1, then it's not going to be
mm,
1, right?
yeah,
Everything should be 1.
yeah, exactly.
And also the one which we are actually going to evaluate, that also should be 1.
Which one?
The one on which we are actually working on, like any index, maybe 1,
Oh
then
yeah, yeah.
that also
Current
should be 1.
index
Yeah,
should be, yeah, yeah.
that's
Because if it
standard,
is
right?
0, then yeah. They haven't mentioned anything, but I
Mm.
think if
Mention that way. Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
But the number can be anything, right? Zero, other than 0, 1, it can be anything, right? So
No, no, it's a binary image will be only in binary form. No, 0 and 1. Image is represented only using binary numbers.
It says grayscale, so I doubt
A
because
grayscale is,
could you,
yeah,
I mean, there is a note, it says like it can have 1 to something.
Yeah, if you see the note, so it says that range is 0 to 255.
255, yeah. So the current need not be 0, the current index at which you are calculating the grayscale, right? If it is 0 to 255.
yeah, it can be any number till 255.
yeah,
Yeah, I think so. Because they are not explicitly said anything like that. It's only 0 and 1.
yeah.
It appears to be.
No, but generally image is represented using this, I thought so.
No, but if the image has a grays colors, or
Yeah,
colors, so the pixel will have a value, right? So to display the
yeah.
color, intensity, and everything, yeah, something like that.
This problem look pretty straightforward, I think.
Yeah. How? Like, I mean,
I mean, I think we can just uh, loop over all the values and just take the neighboring 8 values, like sum of them, and take the then divide it by 8 or divide by 6, whatever, based on the conditions, and simply put the value there. I mean, for n square time and n square step, it looks pretty straightforward, I think.
yeah. Like, you want to share code?
I'll just see if I've done it. Just a minute.
Okay.
Is there any other better way to do this?
I think what you said, like looking in all the directions for a given pixel, all the 8 directions, and sum it up, and then
I was wondering, is that some other way to do it? Because yeah, this is an easy problem. So it might be a very straightforward solution. That is true. And what Ron is saying
Yeah.
also, it might be the right one.
Uh,
But
Yeah.
is it something more efficient we can do, or this
thinking
is the only one?
thinking about if we can do something like the rolling hash, basically when we are going from one to the other one, then we can simply see which one is outgoing and which one is incoming. Then probably we won't have to do the summation from scratch.
But rolling hash is basically used when you you have a very large number and again you are repeating that. So I mean that's a typical use case what I found. But maybe I'm not sure.
yeah, but it might be complex.
No. No. Ronnie wants to share code
Yeah, I'll just
yeah, sure.
so basically running over all the loops like for rows and then for columns and then for like the individual for all the like 3 rows available, then 3 columns. So I'm just checking if the current block is valid. Valid is like it should not be in the first row or first column, like 0th row or 0th column, or nth row or nth column. And if it is true, then increase the count value, and the total for that will be. I'll just increment it like it's a value will be just simply stored, and eventually I'll just push back that in the particular row. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, and taking the average total by count, right?
Yeah, and eventually exactly, and eventually just push it and push in the resultant array and just return the result array of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so straightforward.
That's good.
That's it.
It's in place only, right? Yeah.
No, it's not in place. It's not in place. I'm taking
You're
an
using
extra.
Yeah, there, that one. Got it.
So I'm returning that. So it's in square space and in square time.
Yeah.
But we can't even what you say save on anything on space, right? It's not
Sorry?
possible. Yeah, we need an output array.
Right.
Yeah, so that shouldn't be counted as extra space, right?
Yeah, that is what I think.
Oh, okay.
Yours, mine is similar to what Ronnie said just now. Like rows calculating, then columns and creating that array in which you'll be fulfilling the values, just looping through the entire matrix and checking in all the possible 8 directions. And just these are the base conditions. If it is your left boundary, you're going below, then or you're greater than your right boundary, just continue. And same for vertical. This is for horizontal, this is for vertical. And just you keep on increasing the values and add the values, and at last just at that particular cell take the average and put it there and just return that matrix.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
But
the same what
for Python, this is a bigger code.
yeah. First time it's like
Yeah.
Yeah, we can switch to next. So our next question is like a word ladder is given to us. We are given 2 words, a begin word and an end word, and a dictionary word list would be given. We need to find the length of shortest transformation sequence from begin to end word, and in which you are supposed to change only 1 letter at a time, and each of the transformed word must exist in the word list. Some of the notes are there. Return 0 if no such sequence is formed, and all words will have the same length, contains only lower English alphabetic characters, and no duplicates in the word list. And you may assume they are begin and end word are non-empty and they're not the same. So from hit to cog you have to go by using whatever transformation you do. Like if you change H to dot or whatever dit, let's say if you are changing H to dit, but dit is not present, so you are not supposed to do such things. if whatever transformation you do, the next word should be present in your word list, and then only we can proceed. So like heat to hot, this is in the dictionary, dot, dog, cog. So your length is 5. And here you can say cog, I mean end word itself is not in your word list, so no such transformation. Yeah, so very short approach.
So in the note it says there are no duplicates. You can assume that, right?
Yeah.
So if there were duplicates, it means there would be some sort of
Self loop will form, no?
unknown state, and then we won't be able to go to that.
Reach the
Okay.
end state. Mm.
So this is important here.
No, but there they can use set in word list, right?
Maybe
I
we can
mean,
remove the duplicates initially.
yeah, that is what saying. The set we can use.
Mhm.
I have one doubt in this.
Yeah.
Like here is given that there is no duplicates in the word list. So basically, in this question, what we will go with that we will use go with normal VFS here. So like I applied one approach like I taken the queue of a pair of string and integer. So
Okay.
first parameter is the first parameter denotes the node, and second parameter denotes the distance to which I have traveled. So can I share my screen also?
Sure, definitely.
So here I took this queue of pair, string, and comma end, and I pushed that begin word with 0 distance, and it's like it should not repeat the so I took the visit taken the visit array also. So when I iterated it did this normal VFS that this is the size, and I iterated to this that taken the front element, and if I found the end word, then I return the distance up to which I traveled, and pop this element, and then if visit I is equal to 0, and distance I've made this function here that if one of the like I made the function that Boolean function basically that we should make a Boolean function that if the distance is 1 basically, then only we should pushed into the array, and the distance should be updated with p dot second plus 1, and visit I will be 1, right?
Yeah. So
Can
every level you are
just
in.
scroll up to the distance? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was asking. So every level you are increasing p dot second plus 1 at every level. Like.
Yes. So basically, I want to ask that this solution is the normal solution what I thought, but it is given TLE on this 36th case. I want to ask that why it is given TLE. What is the reason behind it?
I think I also face this issue because I think there are too many combinations, and it is taking more than expected time.
I think that line. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I think you talk about same line I was about to talk.
31 line.
Yes.
Yeah. So distance. This instead of equal to, we have to compare if it is the new distance is less than the previous one. Yeah. Then only add to the queue push.
Sorry, Ankur.
Distance being calculated is, I think, from like the new intermediate nodes, right?
Yeah, Ankur was sharing, right? What happened?
Yeah, Ankur was sharing. I hided it.
We were just talking on the same lines.
You can.
Yeah. Also at that same line, I think that code only take one word, right? What if we have because we can go breadth first search, so we have to look for all the word in the dictionary that have one distance away.
I think he's not there. Yeah.
Seems
I think he was looking
he
over
dropped.
search problem.
So I did a DFS approach sorry, BFS. I used a BFS approach to solve this.
Yeah,
Okay,
share it.
go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, let me share my screen.
So what actually the approach is? Are you looking for each and every? Okay, let's see what it is.
Yeah, actually, initially I tried to create a adjacency list and traverse using a BFS, but I was hitting a TLE.
Yes, similarly, I was also editing TLE. Sorry, my network connection got.
Yeah, yes, okay.
Okay.
So I was also doing the same approach only, but I was not constructing these words basically.
Yeah.
So, but it is given clearly that I'm not able to understand that why that approach is given clearly.
Because there are some test cases which are very, big ones. So, and there are many similar words in that some test cases, and therefore it is hitting a TLE. So you have to be very efficient in writing that particular, I think the
BFS.
adjacency, yeah, the BFS. So, but it's a normal BFS. That is true. What you did was not wrong. It was correct. But some of the test cases for those things, you'll have to do it slightly in different way.
Are you keeping a visited set?
Yeah, he was keeping a set for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
I
keeping
was visited area also. I was keeping there,
Mm.
and it is here written that you may assume that no duplicates in the word list.
But what happens is when we have got this adjacency list, that is where one word appears in multiple adjacency lists, and there is a loop. I also hit the clearly, but once I added the condition, if the visited word, if the word has been visited, then skip the loop, then it got fixed.
Okay.
So where is the adjacency list in this? How do you get the next node in this?
Sandeep, go ahead.
I did not. I mean, I initially tried that. So later I went to the discussion and I found like the other way. So what I'm doing is like I'm actually initially putting everything into the hash set when it's a hash. So then I'm whatever the begin word I'm putting into the queue. So here this is line 16 of the DFS BFS starts. So the queue is not empty. Like I'm taking the current count of the queue and traversing, like I'm looping through the current queue, right?
One level, yeah.
One level. So I dequeue, like I dequeue the first one. So this is a part like, where you're trying to identify what are the other elements which
valid.
are
Okay.
valid elements. So since, the condition says it can have only lowercase letters, right? So what I'm doing is I'm replacing every character. So I'm taking the word to a char array at line 23. So I'm looping through A to Z and replacing, each at each index and checking if that particular word exists in the hash set. So if it exists in the hash set, that means that's a candidate, to add it to the queue. So I'll add it to the queue and I'll also remove it from the set, making it as visited. So I'm not using extra extra data structure for storing visited. I just remove it from the hash set.
So
Basically,
okay, go ahead.
With the help of set, we are avoiding the repetition, right?
Yes.
But like in the question is given that that you were saying that in adjacency list we can have duplicates.
But he's using it for removing it, right? When he has already visited, so he's just removing that.
It's basically visited only.
Yeah, it's a visited one. Yeah.
It can be revisited, but the problem we are trying to solve is the shortest distance. So if you have seen that, you don't want to visit it again. Although if there is some other path you are reaching that. So technically, if you want a small path and you have seen it, so that's what we done with that. And it's a level order traversal. You're going level by level, and the question is to solve the shortest levels, the minimum level.
Yeah, I mean, his solution is just space optimized. So whether you use a visited sat separately or just remove from there, both will give the same output.
And secondly, while checking from A to Z, you can check if your current character is already there. You don't need to replace it, right? You are taking every character and replacing at ith index with this, right? So let's say hit is a word. When again H will come, you replace H with H.
Oh, yeah, right.
So there is no point in that, right?
Yes, yes.
So that you can optimize, like.
Yeah, that's correct.
One thing I want to say that
Can we see the previous solution which were giving the TLE?
But Sandeep, your solution was not giving TLE, right?
No, this is not giving. I submitted it.
Okay.
Actually, I did a TLE 3 months ago.
My solution was giving TLE.
Okay, let me.
Can you please share that?
Yes, I will share that one.
Okay. Yeah, I'll stop the screen, like maybe.
This solution was given TLE. That I took visited array, and to avoid repetitions, I did this. That I marked this visited I equal to 1, and I just saw in the question that duplicate words are not possible in the list. So therefore, I took with this kind of visited array. I didn't take the set. So this approach I followed, but it given TLE at this test case.
Yeah, could you please go down? Yeah, I mean, because you are actually, your solution is based on the word list. So here at line 29, if your list is too big, that may be an issue, right?
I don't think that is the issue. Here, we need to consider only those words which are the only one character away, right? In this case,
but for each word, he's enumerating the whole list, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I think the TLE is because we are considering for each word, we are considering the whole list. Instead of that, we have to consider only those words which are just one character difference. So then
calculating those words.
The distance is n. For every iteration of the distance, it is n, right?
Yes.
So,
so he will for each word. So let's say your list has 1 million word in that. So that the loop is starting at line 29. I think that looks to me a concern.
Yeah, because it's going for each and every word. It is
even if we have more than 2 diff, then also it's going for each word.
Actually, I have submitted one more question, that's a solution, and that was also given TLE. Can I show that?
Okay.
Sure.
This one I used this, that like you say here, that I have taken care of that whole word list I was iterating previously, right?
So same thing you are doing here, that line 35.
Not,
line 35.
You can say,
okay, you are erasing. Okay, yeah.
Erasing here also.
Ankur, 1 minute. So I tried to optimize. So I also used the same first approach like what you did, the word distance. But if you can calculate all this, if you can calculate all this n square distances probably before, you can actually it might get accepted. One of my accepted approach was like that. So I tried to calculate all the distances beforehand itself, and I tried to use it in the while loop. In the BFS.
Like
I do see the same issue here. So let's say though you are removing item at line number 40, but think about that your word list is too big, and the word you are looking just few word, right? So initially it will for initial few word it will enumerate for let's say your input word list is 1 million, right? and you are, when you start that, so initially the first round, it will go for 1 million, right? And then you find another word. So you just remove the one word from the list, but the second loop is again 1 million,
Right.
close to 1 million, right?
And that
This is
erase is
yeah,
like visited only, right?
exactly.
Like
It is
there he was
exactly.
using visited, and here he's just erasing the neighbors only.
So I'm erasing the
I mean,
neighbors.
yeah,
I think
it's like
that's
visited you
not
were
the
doing in the
right
previous one.
approach to actually enumerate based on the number of element what you have in a list, because list can be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
this is
can,
so tricky. If a question such comes in an interview, they don't give you a constraint about the test case, right? Because this is a normal approach anyone would go for, correct?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
in terms of if you have a
Are
small
we
output, so there's no issue at all.
Yeah.
are
But
we
only
checking the
because the test
shortest
case.
distance here? I'm not able to follow that, because we have to find the shortest distance.
Yeah, is solution also finding the sorted distance?
Where do we check that if the previous, whatever we had, one path is shorter than the current path?
Actually, in BFS, that for undirected graph, that is that not weighted. Basically, BFS gives the shortest distance between the two nodes.
No. I think she has a point. What she's trying to say, each and every word when you are comparing, the other words should be only one letter
Yeah,
away.
that is what is missing. Because of that, we are seeing
No,
the TLA.
no.
What is he is doing
Here,
in this, right?
this I'm doing this now. Like you can see here.
Oh, okay.
I think the
Okay,
problem
okay.
here, I think problem here is you're removing the level 2 words, but then you may need the level 2 words later, so it's not gonna work.
Actually, it is.
Right?
I'm pushing in the queue now, right? I'm pushing it in queue.
Because the distance only check for distance 1, right?
Yes,
DIS.
yes.
So here you only put all the level 1 words, and then you erase everything. Oh, actually no. Oh, you erase all the level 1 words. Is that right?
Because we actually, yes, I'm removing that. Yes, I'm removing that.
Yeah, he's actually checking that because when he's passing to the dist function, so he's passing the current current word and the word from the dictionary, and then comparing that whether that word is just one distance away. Is that correct?
Here I can see. Yes, I'm comparing here. You can see here that it is not, if count is less than 1, greater than 1, then it is written false. If it is not, then it is true.
Yeah, but then what we should do is we should actually create an adjacency list for this particular problem only. So for when you have a word like hit, you should only have adjacency list for that particular word which are only one letter away. So you don't have to look for a distance like this. That is what Praveen is also saying. Shweta also agrees on that, right? Because the 35 and 37 line, and then because for the normal BFS approach, this is surely going to work. But only in this case, because we have a test case which are very huge, we need to actually categorize them now.
Yeah, in your test, you will actually check the word which are maybe 10 distance away or 20 distance away. You are even checking those words too.
Yeah.
Wait, are
Therefore,
you
it is
getting
clearly.
time limit exceeded? Because this should work, right?
Yeah, it will work for most of the test cases, but the test cases which
It
are
worked
very
for
huge.
38 cases. For 5 cases it get failed.
Yeah, if you,
bigger list.
if you click on this, the latest executed input, you can see that, yeah, this is a big one, right? See, it's a very huge one. So therefore, then it will fail because you're iterating through for each and every word input, you're actually iterating through all of them. So that is not good in this case.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
And one solution I want to discuss here that basically what I saw that that the solution that I saw just now in the discussion, actually that will run for that is not very optimized solution. What I saw one more solution, and that bidirectional BFS also people have done in this question.
That
So,
is right. So let us come to the at least the basic one first, then we can go for the bidirectional, right? Yeah.
Yeah, bidirectional. I mean, if you want to solve in your production code, that makes sense. But for interview, I don't think so. I mean, someone can come up in 30 minutes with that solution.
But
Actually,
it's good to
that was
discuss
very.
it, right? In case if that is there.
One approach I did, basically in the solutions they were discussing about coming up with the adjacency list, basically the list of words which are one distance away from the current word. Basically pre-process that list first and then go into BFS. So I did that and I didn't hit TLE. Probably that is what we are discussing.
Even for that, I was getting around 70% or something like that. The time, I mean, 70%.
So Rajinder, you're saying that in that solution, so the full graph was prepared even before starting the.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
The BFS was a simple.
That is.
I have the
double.
code.
Yeah, I think double space you are not taking. First, you are making a graph for that space, and again using a queue.
Actually, one more thing that what the.
No, Shashank, it's not a double space, right? He is actually creating because this is the
list.
Yeah, this is a challenge
No, I
here.
do
So we
not
have to actually optimize it for that.
Yeah, no, what Rajendra was saying that he'll first create a graph and then use BFS over it. So while for that adjacency list,
I was saying BFS. So in the BFS, the queue length will be proportional to the number of words in that
nodes list.
Yeah, basically one level. Yes, but I don't think that is a duplicate. But at the same time, yeah, that was the best I could imagine.
Yeah.
I have one solution I can show little. I think easier to understand. Maybe I can just try to show it. It makes it if it helps.
Yeah. Okay.
I have one function called diff by one, which just compare what he had Rajendra or he was showing. So if the two strings are just one character away, then only I'm considering that. And then I'm building the adjacency list based on that. So if for each word, I'm checking if it is just one diff away, then I'm adding to that as the next neighbor. Then I'm starting with the queue. I have the queue and the distance map, which has the distance for each string from the beginning word. So initializing all the string with the maximum value initially. And I'm setting the begin word to 1 initially in the start. So starting from begin word, rest of the string is maximum, whatever we can set. Then I'm just simply here checking the queue. Whenever I'm popping it, I'm just setting the visited so that we don't go to that node again. And for each neighbor in that current, whatever word we have, if it returns, if it is equal to the end word, then I return the, whatever is the distance of the parent plus 1. Otherwise, if the distance of the neighbor is more than the parent plus 1, then only I replace that and add it here.
So on line 29, when you are actually returning, you are returning inside the adjacency list for loop, right?
Yes.
Therefore, you had to add 1.
Yeah,
if you would have done it outside, then you wouldn't have to add a 1.
But we don't have to go further if we found the word. So that's why I'm returning it.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just looking for it and I saw, because normally we do it that way, right? So this was something, the optimized version.
Sweta, you actually don't have to store the words as well. I mean, you don't have to compare. You can have actually use some of the distant indexes itself. You can reuse that indexes itself.
Right.
Where what indexes? I didn't get that.
So you
We
are
need
actually
the
storing a list of, the adjacency list you are maintaining a set as strings, right?
yes.
Yeah, you can actually use a list of indexes itself. I mean, for every word you can assign some index.
Oh yeah, that will be the optimized version. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the adjacency list, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We can use that.
The total time and space
But
complexity.
how come? I think. I'm sorry.
Instead of the word, we have the index, and when we compare, we use the array. From the array, we get that value. Here, what he's saying, instead of adding the value here in the line number 12, we can just add the index from this word list.
Oh, okay.
And when we use it, we do the word list dot get index. That is what you mean, right? If I understood correctly.
Actually, if you have created the adjacency list of integers itself, you don't have to do any string comparisons in the BFS actually.
Yeah, that will be the optimized version. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I never thought of that. Yeah.
And
Can we know about this, the time complexity?
Pardon?
Time
what
complexity
type
of
of
this solution?
time? It should be like order of
Order of n, right? Because
D
we are
plus
just going.
In worst case, can also that you made diff function. In worst case, also that you made this diff function below boolean diff one. That can also.
We have to compare the words, right? So if the distance of length of each string is, for example,
so where you called it?
X. Pardon?
Where you called it above this loop?
In the adjacency list.
While making adjacency list.
Yeah. Here, that line number 11.
Okay. So order of n only.
Wouldn't this adjacency list, the building of adjacency list will take n square?
I think, Shweta, if you, instead of actually building the adjacency list of your word list, if you build it based on your begin word, that will be more optimized, because here again,
build every time when we hit here, right? I can embed that here.
Yeah, so here what you are doing, you are building the adjacency list for your the full dictionary.
Yes, yeah.
Right? Yeah, so which may not required here, right? So think about that.
We can bring that here at line 31 when we line 27. And when we get the current, then only we get all the diff one.
Yeah, so what I'm saying that, I mean, if you build the dictionary, if you build the adjacency list based on that, what you have, you start from your first node and what one distance word you have in your dictionary. Just build only based on that. So that will be more optimized.
But then we have to get the next level at 27, right? For current, whatever we have the current right now. So because we are going level by level. So at every step we have to build the next diff one.
Yes, we are going level by level, and you are starting from your begin word, right?
Yes, yeah.
So you already have a graph based on your begin word. Because that adjacency list.
We don't have the graph, right? We have to build the graph.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that at line number 9, what you are doing here. So if you go scroll up a little bit, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm saying here at line number 7, you are starting and you are building the graph based on your word list.
Word list, yes, yeah.
So what I'm saying that instead of building the graph based on the word list, if you build it based on the begin word.
Just the begin word.
Yes. So that will be a shorter graph.
So what I understood correctly, what you're saying is, I start only for the begin word, and I have the list only which is one diff away for begin word.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, yes. I got that. So in that scenario, it's the optimized version. at line 27 again, when I go to next level, I have to get the next diff away for that word, right?
So maybe we have to iterate for whole list in that case.
Again, yeah, that is what I'm saying, yeah.
No,
So
no,
we have to
No, why do we need to iterate the whole list again?
Because we have to check the distance now. So that
No,
in that
but
case,
we already built that graph, right?
we are
No,
not
no,
building. Let
We
me
are actually building the whole adjacency list, the
no,
adjacent
no. What
nodes.
Praveen was saying is, I mean, you could have removed that. I mean, you could started with that begin
Begin
word
word.
itself, and whatever the next level is, you could have removed it from word list. And whenever you are going to the next neighbor, you could only the unvisited words you can compare and try to form the next level.
Okay, so you always form it at when you visit that level. Don't create it.
Yeah.
That is what I'm
beforehand.
saying. I have to do that same thing at 27 then. For example, if we have a hit and next one is hot, after hot, we need to find the next neighboring, right? So that I have to do at 27.
so same fact will come that suppose 1 million letters words are there, and suppose 2-3 are visited, and then that in that next level may have to visit approx 1 million again. If we build for only one begin word initially.
Yeah, there are different ways to do it. It depends. So
This one
but
passes.
this should
It doesn't
this
give
also
the
works,
deal,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
This works,
should
yeah,
work,
yeah.
Yeah, definitely it will work. Yeah.
There is a optimization to creating the adjacency list. What has been done here in line number, I believe 7 to 12 or so.
We can use the index, yeah. That I like that idea, yeah.
Yeah, what they are basically the lead code solution suggests is take a word, try to create generic words out of it. So for example, DOG. So say we can say it emits 3 generics. For example, star OG, then D star.
Yeah, that is the further optimization.
So that is that is a very nice optimization they are doing. So so I did that way. So
Okay.
I had to.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing. You can share that. That will be nice.
Okay, sure.
One request also that if someone has did with bidirectional DFS, then also very good have.
Yeah. Praveen actually has a point. We'll talk about it after this. Yeah.
I have the code if you someone wants to.
Can you guys see my screen?
No.
We saw it earlier, but then it just
but now-
disappeared.
So what was, did you see my browser or something else? I don't know.
No, it was some
That might
code
be
and
lecture.
then some YouTube paused video. Then
Oh.
again it went.
Okay. Let me just share again.
Sure.
Sorry. Are you able to see it now?
Yeah.
So that is what I was saying. So basically there is word from a word to its generic parts. So for example, DOG will give 3 generics, and from each generic to a word list. So that way, basically that is where the connections are. So this portion of the code is basically going through the whole word list, including the beginning word, and populating these 2 data structures. One is word to generic. Basically, this is the concrete word, given word in the word list to generic. And then for each generic, what are the words it is mapping to? The once that 2 data structures are created. The rest is very plain BFS basically. I'm not even using the return value. Please ignore that. So basically start with the begin word and basically count what is the level we are at. We enter into the loop, BFS loop. If it is the end word, then return the level. Otherwise, if it is visited, then continue. Because of this kind of a star schema, that is what is coming to my mind, it can blow up. So this thing, without this, I was getting TLE. And now that I have checked that end word is, I have not yet reached the end word. Let me mark the current word as visited. And this is where the interesting stuff happens. So what I'll do is I will convert the current word to its generic. Then for each of these generic, I will basically pull all the word lists, and those words which have not been visited, I will just insert them in the expected format to the queue with level +1. So that is how basically my queue is getting getting the words for the next level. So that's it.
Okay. So where is that star actually when you said you're actually creating the generic?
So this is what is happening here.
Generic means like I didn't get.
So which one is you are using dot, right, instead of star?
Yeah. I'm using.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to look for the star, but yeah.
Okay. So star was the explanation in the lead code description, but I used dot.
Yeah. Okay.
There is no
Yeah,
question.
it's good. Yeah.
It's
I
very
want to try
concise
this.
one
Yeah,
and very
yeah.
optimized option
It's
solution.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very succinct, I would say, because everything is just tapped, and it is not even taking two loops. It is the same loop that is creating the populating both.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, this approach is very good, but how can we come up with such an approach in an interview also? You know?
Wow, that was, I failed one interview because of this actually.
It's very like.
If we have seen, I think already.
Anyways, what is the reason also for coming up? Because the problem statement is general BFS. That's all.
Yeah.
What is the intuition behind it?
Yeah, intuition to come here. Yeah, that's correct.
How to got it?
Yeah.
I think
Like
after we
star.
solve it with the simple BFS, then we can, if they ask for the optimization, how can we optimize this map thing?
But then if he says that we have a big list, then we can think about it, right? And all the words are of the same length, something like that.
Okay, I'll stop here then if there is no questions.
Can someone explain?
Tried by bidirectional BFS, Rajendra?
Sorry, no, I have not. No.
So this is like, I mean, whatever you all have discussed, same thing. But only difference, like I'm not creating that adjacency list over here. So just I'm pushing the source word inside it and initial distance as 1, and then getting the node and level. If it matches your target, just return the level from there, or else for every node in the word list, every word that you take from the list, you change its character. I mean, this will take all the small alphabet like string.ascii A to Z and check that if that character is present, then don't do anything else. You replace it and put it again in your word set and just continue. So simply I'm avoiding here that what you said, creating of X. I mean, I'm not creating the adjacency list. That's it. So yeah, yes. And I'm discarding it like once you visit the neighbor, you just knock it out of the array so that next time you shouldn't, what is it, like you shouldn't encounter the same word, otherwise TLE will hit.
What I think is here is that advantage we got because of Python. That I was also deleting the word in the array that is word list, but I was getting TLE there.
But line number 17 is not that order of n.
At line number 17.
Is it not order of n? Is it a binary search or a linear search?
That's a list.
If it will
So
be a
look up
linear
in the
set,
list.
it is a set.
Set,
Order
set.
of one it will take. Order of one.
Oh, is that a set? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
It is set. It is set.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, this is and one that BF bidirectional BFS. If somebody wants to explain, you can.
I think Praveen was talking about
Okay,
it.
okay, let Praveen explain then.
No, I did not implement that actually.
Okay. Okay,
I'm
you
not
have
what
that
I
implementation?
implemented the
in
similar to
tuition.
like what Shashank has that.
Okay.
To
Yeah,
bidirectional. Yes, sure, you can. I'll stop.
And I think someone in the chat, Uday is asking to share that generic code, Rajendra, what you did. Right, Uday?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. Where do you guys want me to say?
yeah, actually couldn't
On the
understand
chat.
the
On
chat
the,
or
on the
Discord.
chat here? Okay, okay. I'll do that.
Yeah, you can create a shared link and then post it.
Yeah, best.
Okay, we'll do that.
Thank you. We are not able to hear.
Uday, I think
Yeah,
lost.
Uday, are you talking or you're?
No, he's
Yeah.
on mute. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, it was on mute. Yeah, can you explain it again? Because we weren't able to hear you.
No, I didn't explain it. I was just
Oh, okay.
I'm
Okay, sure.
looking at my other submissions actually.
Mhm.
Yeah, here it is. So I mean it's similar to what what was the earlier solution shared at. So basically I'm creating the word list of the set itself, and I'm adding that word to the begin and an end. So basically so sometimes it may, in some of the cases the begin word is not there actually. So I'm trying to add that words to the set of words, and I'm
Do
until
we need to add that word to the set of words, the begin word? Like what is the?
yeah, actually I saw in some of the cases I found that the begin word is not in that word list.
It doesn't have to be, because it says that somewhere.
Yeah, then it will be a loop. It will
loop.
be a sort of duplicate. No?
A loop
Because
we can
it's
avoid by visited, but still
Yeah.
we don't need to, but it doesn't have to.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So I am taking one of the size. So whichever is the smallest size, I'm trying to. I'm using the set as a queue itself.
Okay.
So
Before that, sorry to interrupt you. Why are we using set as a queue?
Why are we using set as a queue?
Order of one time to look into. Queue you will take order of n time to process, but in set you can within order of one. That is what bidirectional BFS is doing now.
How do you
I mean in constant time.
But whatever you have in a queue, you should
No.
actually use it that way, right?
I will tell you why is that reason. So when you are meeting, you need to find whether it is in the other. So in a bidirectional DFS, you actually you meet in the middle. But if it's a list, you need to check in the other list.
Okay, got it. Because you have to look at least somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this bidirectional DFS?
Yeah.
DFS, yeah.
So that is the reason why you had to use the set.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
So the begin is starting with the begin word and end with the end word. So I can.
Sorry, one question. So when you are using a set as a queue, how do you dequeue and how do you distinguish? So in the queue, you might have at any given point of time the elements of level 1 as well as some elements of the next level. How do you distinguish those two in a set?
I'm having an intermediate set to So one set I'm trying to complete it, and I'm trying to have an intermediate set that that constructs the next level.
Next level, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay, got it.
Okay. So I'm trying to execute the while loop until both are empty. So, and this h is the distance. And so either one of them can be bigger. I'm trying to take the smallest at the begin and end as the bigger one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm having an intermediate set to have that the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so begin is the I'm in with the if condition above, and I try to make sure that begin is the smallest one.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is similar to what has been shared before. So basically, I'm taking that word outside of that set, and I'm changing that character at every index as A to Z, and I'm trying to create that neighbor. Here, if it is if the word contains the neighbor, I'm trying to add it to the the intermediate set.
Okay.
For the next level.
Right.
But if it happens that it is also in the end, I return that h. So this is where you were asking why you are using the list in. Why you are using a set instead of list.
Yeah. Yeah, because we need to check for the other set queue also. Yeah.
One doubt is there.
And how is that bidirectional?
So you
Because
are actually trying to iterate from both from begin as well as end.
I don't know. I don't see the where. Okay, so
because it's swapping it always. If you go to the last one, when he is
okay.
at the end of the while loop,
I missed that.
he swaps that begin equal to intermediate. And earlier, actually, he looks for the other way also. Whichever is smaller.
Since I'm iterating only over the begin, I made sure that begin is the smallest list here before iterating. So I am assigning that intermediate to begin itself. For the next iteration, the size comparison happens, and you'll pick one of them.
One doubt is there that you're checking in the if conditions at line 42, that if word contains neighbor and end contains also neighbor, why you're checking that on the in both the neighbor and then only we return that h. I didn't get that logic.
No, if the word is in dictionary, go ahead with that, please.
Yeah. So basically, I'm trying to. Some of the words might have been already visited as well. So that is why the word instead of the visited, I'm trying to use that word that contains. So if you are seeing here in the line 31, I'm trying to remove the visited words as well. So for the next level, I shouldn't add the already visited ones.
Yeah.
You get it?
And here you don't have to pre-process the adjacency list also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I tried to do that way as well, but somehow, in the discussion, I found that if you are adding, instead of comparing every string, if you do it by A to Z, in the discussion, it was said that will be faster. But I tried to do that way as well, but that also wasn't that bad time actually.
Okay. But that will be an additional processing, right? Yeah, okay. But it's at the beginning.
Advantage is like from both sides we are coming. That's why.
Yeah. It's a beautiful solution though. It's not intuitive at all, but yeah. And using set is very important. Yeah.
Yeah, using set is important.
Yeah.
Like I have seen one solution in the discussion section. Can we discuss that? simple solution that for same that bidirectional BFS.
When can we switch to the next one? It's already.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
So
Uday. Thank
our,
you, everyone. Yeah, that's good one.
Yeah, that was really a nice solution.
Yeah.
so our last one is like create maximum number. We are given two arrays length m and n containing digits 0 to n, sorry, n 9, representing the two numbers. We need to create maximum number k whose length would be less than the sum of these two lengths of array, and relative order of the digits should be maintained from the same array must be preserved. So return array of k digits. Note you should try to optimize your time and space. Okay. So your num is 3465 and this is this. So if you see, the largest number is 9. I mean, out of these two array, 9 is the biggest, followed by 8, then 6. And after this, here we are using 5, that is preserving its order. And these three, we are not using these three. These three we are using because it is after 9, so relative order is preserved. Here also same thing, 6, 7, 6, 0, 4. So first these two elements I'm taking 6, 7, then I'm picking because there is no other choice. So all the 5 you have to pick up. And here again no choice. So I'm taking from first. Oh sorry, we have because 4 elements are there. First 9 I'm picking and then these 2, 8, 9 I'm picking. So yeah, this is the number formed. So any queries or approach?
So actually the problem statement actually, if you look at the line number 1, he says given two arrays of length m and n with digits whatever it is, representing two numbers.
Yeah.
So is nums 1 and nums 2 just a number 1 and number 2 or what?
It's number 1 and number 2 with digits in the form of array.
Okay. So they are actually they could have also given just an integer value, right? And they could have asked to actually remove the digits and do it. Does that make sense?
I think so, that is right.
But their underlying objective was like, so you're telling they could have given 3, 4, 6, 5.
Yeah, 3,465 and whatever 912, 583.
Whatever here.
Yeah.
But in that case, they are using digits like they can pick one digit from here, another digit from another array.
Right.
So again, you have to convert that number to integer array or something like that.
Right. So they have actually made our life easier here.
Yeah, exactly. That is what one step ahead they are giving.
Yeah. So, but the intent is like the output should be in such a way that we are actually creating a greater number using all these digits, and also we are not actually moving with the relative order, right?
Yeah, that
not greater number, maximum number. There's no.
Yeah, maximum number of the whole.
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever you can get from the k.
Yeah, of that length. Yeah.
Yeah.
So greater.
Because if you look at it that way, then only the problem seems to make sense, you know. Or else just looking at the array and all that, it's slightly very difficult to understand what the problem is.
Exactly. Yeah, so
how to get any intuition and approach for this type of problem? Because as soon as I get this type of problem, I don't have any direction to move.
I was blank,
yeah. One I thought like these among these two numbers, take the greatest digit 9 I got, then I'll increase the pointer in this, and then I'll check between 3 and 1. So 3 is highest I'll pick, but that will not work. I mean,
that's like a merge sort, right?
Sort, and secondly, I can't sort because if I sort, that relative order will be lost. So intuitive, but.
Yeah, intuition is very difficult, but after looking at the discussions also, it was slightly difficult to understand how to implement. Yeah, but the pattern what I found was something like using the monotonic stack solution. You just try to find the biggest number from each of them and try to do different combinations, you know, and so whichever is the biggest one, actually store it. Correct.
Please elaborate.
Something like that. Hello?
Yeah, sorry.
Monotonic stack works when we have more number than required. Because in that we try to get the maximum digit, right? Here when we have k is equal to 5 and we have total 5 digits in the decreasing sequence.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, that's, I started with that, but I got stuck there. So I don't know, like.
But they are using a monotonic stack in a slightly different way. That is what I think.
Okay.
So
Let's discuss the solution. Maybe something I'll get.
yeah, I think Shashank already has a implementation, so he might be in a
I
better
think
position
it's
to
hard
explain it.
here because we want to keep the order the same, right? Because if the order doesn't matter, it's trivial.
Yeah, because the order we have to maintain. Therefore, I was thinking of the monotonic stack, because monotonic stack at least maintains the order and also tries to get the greater numbers. But it tries to get the next greatest number, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, I actually cut you, but yeah, you can go ahead. Any, right?
Yeah. So let's say
Yeah.
if we have that problem solved, if we can,
Walk through.
if we can somehow, never. I think there's two subproblem. One subproblem here is to, like you said, find kind of the order, like the monotonic stack or whatever. And then the other one is still, even if you have that problem solved, then how do we pick from the two, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like two subproblem.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the solutions what I found is what they do is, because we are given the value of k, right?
Mm.
So if you take for the example first, we have k as 5. So our output value size is fixed, okay? And then we have two arrays, nums1, nums2, which are 4 and 6, right? So we need to actually do it in such a way, like give equal opportunities for both the arrays. And whenever we find, we always take the greatest, whatever the greatest numbers are from both the arrays, and try to merge, as Shashank was saying, right? And every time we merge, we see if it is a greater one. Like if it is the greatest, just store it somewhere and keep on doing it. So like if it is k equals 5, so what the other guy who I just went through the solution implemented was, like, for nums, he first said, okay, I will give 0, and for nums2 I will take k as 5. Okay, so nums2 he took whatever was possible. So in the example, if it is like 9, okay, can I just draw it on the whiteboard?
Sure. I think he's trying all possible combinations. Like if you take 0 digit from first one, then all the 5 he has to take from second.
Right, something like that.
Yeah.
So
So
if
if
we
we
do the
take one
simple
digit,
permutation of length 5, then it will
that
give
is
the
what he's
TLA.
doing.
Yeah.
I think it was giving TLA
Let's see
when I
what
tried.
I'm not able to draw this properly. Okay, so nums1, okay. So
Yeah.
like this is 3, 4, 6, 5, and this is nums2. So this is 9, 1, 2, 5, 8, 3, right? So now for the first one, if I take k as 0 here, so I'm not going to consider nums1, and I take k for this nums2. What I will do is I'll pick all the greater elements of size 5, right? So in this case, I find only one which is the smallest one, so I just ignore 1. So I have 9, 2, 5, 8, 3. Okay, and in nums1 I'm saying k equals 0, so I don't include any of them. So I just keep this value somewhere else, right, for time being. So this will be 9, 2, 5, 8,
Global
3.
variable something.
Yeah. And now if I erase this, okay, so what I do is here also what I do now, okay, where is this one, the text one, draw, right? Okay, and now I make this as 1. Why the draw is like that?
That was better, I think. Your ink, I mean pencil.
Which is pencil here? Spotlight.
No, it's not visible your screen. I mean that option.
Oh, I lost it. Oh.
Yep. Yeah, it's okay. No problem.
4. Okay. So now k is equal to 1 in nums 1. So in that case, what I'll pick up is 6 because 6 is the greatest one from nums 1. Okay. And from nums 2, I can learn only the 4 ones which are greater. So I'll eliminate 1 and 2. So it will be 9, 5, 8, and 3. Right. So out of these 1 and 6 and 9, 5, 8, 3, I will merge them. So the way it will be like 9, 6, 5, 8, 3 because 6 is actually smaller than 9 but greater than 5. So it can go here. So that will be the biggest number which I can construct using both these two. Okay. So now again, I will go for the other value which will be here. I will decrease. So this will be 2 and this will be 3. So in this case, I can take 6 and 5. And for the 3, the one which are greater will be 9. And then I can take 5 and 8, right?
Sorry, 5, 8.
5, 8. So now if I try to add both of them, is it like that? 9, 6, 5, 8?
Yeah. 9, 6, 5, 5, 8.
Okay.
Correct.
So it will
9,
be
5, 8 because that will be sequence is not right. 9, 8, 3 something like that.
Should it be 9, 8, 3?
Mohan, 983 will be larger than 958.
Because 5 is
No,
Smaller
yeah,
than
9. Yeah, you're right, Shweta. It should be 983, right?
yeah.
So it should be 983 because the sequence will be, and it will be the largest sequence also. So 983 and 653. So if we have this one, so we have 98653. Okay, and so this actually is the largest one. So we don't have to even go back. So now we keep on doing it here, like we had 2. So we make this 3 and this is 2. Okay, so if we keep on doing it, we come to always that this will be the largest one, and then we return this, right?
Yeah, good.
So whenever we are actually making it the way, using k and getting all the largest one, for that, the other guy was using a similar function like a monotonic stack, but it was not actually a monotonic stack implementation because we have to take care of the 3 because we have to do the increment only for this number, whatever the k is. Right. So there only you can do, and the rest you can actually just append it. So that is
It's
what
like you are greedy about the numbers, right?
Right. But then when you said about the merging, it is slightly tricky also how to merge them, and also to find out which is the greater one because these are not integers. These are again an array. So how to compare the previous one with this one, and which one is the greater? How to decide that? So there are a lot of implementation details to be taken care of, right? So I just thought this was I could understand after reading for a long time. So this one.
Yeah, I think this makes sense.
It's pretty intuitive. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
I don't think so. It has to be like you have to.
No.
Yeah,
This
at
is
least
the
I
same
am
thing
able
I
to
also
think
thought.
now how to approach this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to share code like?
No, you go ahead. I think that should be a similar one. What do you share?
Yeah. So your intuition is same only. Whatever you have already explained that. Yeah. So what I did I took the length of these two numbers, like nums1 length, nums2 length, and creating the res array. Res will store you the every time you put the maximum one, like 98653, updating the maximum each time. So I'm walking through like k minus, max of these two. This because let's say if your length 2 is greater than your k, then in that case you'll hit the negative, this one, right? Your k is 5 and length 2 is 6. So it will be -1. So maximum of these two will take, which is 0, and till the minimum will go, like which would be k or length 1, whichever is the minimum here. And passing those, like I'm passing the first, this one, like 0. You told if I take 0 number from first one and remaining will be 5 minus 0
Right.
from the second one. So these are two functions in which getMax is a function in which I'm passing first number where I'll pick 0 number, and second function where I'll pick 5 digits, and then pass it through a merge function. So it will take you to the getMax, and this is the getMax where you go. So getMax, what it will do, this is like let's say first number is 0, so there is no point in doing anything. But let's say second number when it is passed, so your t is 5, and so your size is 5, and we are going to the all the digits of the array. What do you say?
Yeah.
Like
Element
from
of that. Yeah.
till 5. And this, what I'm saying, as long as your answer is empty, I mean if your answer is not empty, and this size is like, if it is greater than your, what you say, 5, I mean maximum you can take 5 digits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't go. If you go beyond that, then also you'll have to pop some of the elements from your answer, or if the previous one what you have taken it is less than the recent one what you are taking, then in that case you pop it, or if it is less than t, you just append it to your this answer array, and this will
Yeah.
return the maximum out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the line 7
then
actually does a sort of monotonic stack, but
exactly.
actually it has a restriction saying you cannot do that monotonic stack implementation or the functionality used it if your k is lesser. If you have a k value, right? If it is more than your k value, if you have digits more than your k value, then you can use that monotonic stack. But whenever you hit on that k equals your number by whatever you say, the number, the array length is equal to the k value, then you just have to append it. That what you are doing on line 9 and 10.
9 and 10, yeah.
Yeah. Or else you can optimize it for that. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was asking, can you explain once more this monotonic? I mean, I was not
Yeah,
able
so
to connect
what
it with
it
the
is
monotonic
trying to
stack.
say, on line 7, when it says length of answer, ANS, right? Okay, plus size. So, okay, so why is ANS you are actually taking from here? So see, what I found out is this line actually len ANS plus size minus X is greater than T. So if this value, if your T means K is equal to 5, okay, but if you add this this len ANS is nothing but your index, correct? The current index what you are going through.
No, length NS will take entire NS. Like if you have 2 elements in ANS, it will give you 2. Index, sorry.
Yeah. So if you use that, so if you find that your current, the number of whatever your value in the nums, the current size of that nums, okay, everything is greater than your k, then you can apply that monotonic stack. Okay, so then you can actually see which is the greatest one. Then this condition holds true where you say ANS minus 1 is less than ANS nums X, So that will hold true, and then you can pop up. So because you just want to throw away whatever the elements which are lesser and all those stuff you can do. But as soon as you hit that your size of that nums now along with the index which you are going through is equal to your k, then you are sure that you are short of elements now. You are not able to make the k value, and therefore you just append everything whatever you have. So you don't have any choice, right, that time. Because if you don't have, you take that value of k, you won't be able to form a greatest number. So that is very important, and therefore this condition is more important in that case.
And this one, like here, answer minus 1 means I'm picking the last element from the answer. I mean, the current digit which I've inserted.
Yeah, the last element, whatever because you just want to compare with the whatever is the last one, right? So if that is, so that if you compare it, then you are getting the greatest one. Correct.
Okay.
Sort of that monotonic stack functionality again.
Exactly.
You are comparing the one which is on the top of the stack.
Yeah, if the top of the stack element is less than the current index number.
Yeah, the current what you are
It's
actually
just like
going through for that
going
nums.
through, huh?
Yeah.
Then you pop the top of the stack.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh, makes sense.
Yeah, then I think the other thing, what you said, the merge one, right? That is also slightly tricky, but yeah.
Merge is like I mean, as long as both num1 and nums1 and nums2 are not null, and if your nums1 is greater than nums2, then we are appending the first number of the nums1, and then again we are kicking out that whichever I mean, when you append first number to your answer, you remove that number and pass the rest of the number, like from 1 to the end we are passing.
Mm-hmm.
Else in the second case, like if your second, I mean, the first number of the second array is greater, like if 9 is greater than your 3, then you append 9 to your answer and remove it out of your nums2 and pass like 1 to 3. From 1 to 3 you pass it for the
Yeah.
next iteration. Yeah, it's a normal merge like
Yeah,
process.
so you're trying to get the biggest one out of the two arrays and trying to fit them in such a way that the output will be a bigger number.
Yeah. So like out of 3 and 9, this one is bigger, right? 9. So I'll append 9 to my, and I'll shorten the array by 1. Like
Yeah.
I'll iterate on this. I'll again compare 3 and 1 and check if this is bigger. I'll put that and then remove this. This is what here it's happening. But this is a very crucial one. That's 7-1.
Yeah, even the merge also, it's not so easy to come up with.
Come up here, but even after seeing the code, I couldn't. I mean, I was not that. I was not able to connect it with the monotonic stack like this.
Yeah, actually, there are some implementation they talk specifically explicitly about that, saying it's a monotonic stack implementation.
Oh.
The way you look at it, but some cases they don't use a monotonic stack; they are using an array, and the reason why you use an array, because you know that you have a fixed length of numbers, right? K. That is always fixed. So you can use an array, which is slightly efficient in terms of stack, because stack will have more implementation, right, as terms of a
Yeah.
data structure.
Yeah.
So I found that slightly to be useful. Yeah.
Oh, it's a nice one. Like problem
No, it was
again.
not nice one. I had to spend a lot of time on all this stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, what you explained here, that was a nice one. Like after going through a lot of, but it's totally out of box idea to come up with this solution.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going through this blog only. There only they were explaining the idea is greedy approach. If you choose I numbers from the first array, then you have to choose k minus I numbers from the second array. So you do all the combinations. So what will do? You try to pick the largest subarray from from both the arrays. You pick the largest subarray, like 9, 8, 5, and again from there, and just do a merge operation to get the resulting answer.
Yeah. Yeah, they use crazy implementations, and the code size is also big in some cases.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to go through. Everyone has their own style of writing, so
Writing, exactly.
yeah.
Too big.
But I don't know, because see, in a terms of intervalist perspective, the guy will always won't even tell you, I'm giving you an array of digits. He will just say, I'm giving you nums1, nums2, and then you need to take the digits of those two nums and form a big maximum number. And I'm going to give you a size of a certain length for your output. So how is the best implementation that you can do? Correct. He might say that,
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So
Then you have to first convert to digits.
Yeah, but that won't even come to my mind. I will say, okay, I'll go and means internally I will do that. From there it will start. But coming to that also, because that will totally confuse me a lot there.
Exactly.
Forget about this implementation. This is again a big stuff.
Because orientation, that time number was there and here digits are there. So it's like,
because the problem statement says about that, because that will be more helpful, because you look at the output. So because what are you going to return? That is very important. And why it is like this number, that is also important, because you have many numbers which are almost similar. And so I
Yeah.
was thinking in some cases, why are we not using those numbers? But then if you go through everything properly, then it makes sense, because we are going to take the biggest number what we can form out of these all 2 digits what we have in num1
Num1
and
plus
num2.
num.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah,
And
it's
then
like
he says optimize your time and space complexity. I
that's like
think,
adding all to the file.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you actually are merging is very, very
Intuitive.
concise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to using something like another function to find which is greater and lesser. So that added a lot of more code to that. But you used only 3 functions. I was using 4 to 5 functions to do all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, just we are adding whichever is greater and then just removing that element and remaining we are taking into consideration.
Yeah.
It's like order of n only, right?
It is, yeah, it is order of
And
1 because
this
you are not
also like
deciding.
I'm not much clear why they are using this. Since from example I tried to gauss something, but still
Which
what is
one?
it? This max of why I'm doing this? Max of 0,
Oh yeah,
k.
because see, if your length 2 is
Hmm.
greater than k, you are going to get a negative number there, right?
Exactly.
So then you
So
don't want to start from negative number, so you just start from 0.
0, yeah, no, but like what it is doing, like
In case if your k len 2 is lesser than the k, then it is good to start from that index, correct?
yeah. So
So
can't I swap length 2 with length 1? Will it create any problem?
that's a good question. So you again swap the nums1 and num2.
I tried it, but it was giving wrong in some of the test cases. So why this is taking that is like
Okay, so maybe see if you have a array which is of smaller size, okay, so you need to take the k and the difference of that, and if you start with that, so that will form a maximum number, right?
this is true what you said. For like if your k is less than the size of array, then you have to start from 0. That's true. But this what is the problem here? But since we have to go only up to 5, so is it no
Okay, here you are saying minimum of k and
minimum?
len.
Why minimum?
Yeah, but minimum makes sense there, because if your len is greater than len1 is like in first case, nums2, your length is 6. So you don't want to go to 6. You just want to go to 5. That is true, right?
True. Yeah. So I can swap length 1 and length 2, right?
Yeah. What you are trying to say, I'm trying to understand what is the right answer to that. But yeah, I'll have to think about it.
Yeah,
It
that is
might
what
be
I was.
possible though, but there might be a reason to do it, or it might be the optimized way of doing that.
This for loop is just for checking all the possible combinations. Like I'll
So
take first. Yeah, go ahead.
did you try that? I mean, swapping what Santosh mentioned that in length 1 and length 2 and the same way num2 and num1.
He did, it seems. You did, right, Shashank?
I didn't get like length.
So if at line number 27 change length 2 to length 1,
If they
Yeah,
are
it will give.
smaller.
It
yeah,
will give you this
and
error.
then length 2, and then at line 28 num1 to num2
Oh, that one I didn't change. Yeah,
and
then I
num1.
think it will give correct now, I think. Hope
Then
so it
try
should
now.
give correct. It will give correct now.
But actually, you should do that by comparing the lengths. If len1 is lesser than
Yeah, it will
len2,
correct.
yeah, you actually need to find if they are smaller, then only swap it, right?
Yeah. You are saying compare those two lengths and whichever
Yeah,
is.
because
I
the
was not
nums,
changing this one earlier. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
so the nums1 should be always be a smaller one, and nums2 should be bigger. It doesn't
That is
make
more of
any, should not make any difference, right?
then that time you don't need to use Max. That is what I'm doing inside Max now. What you are saying, you will compare it and do. So this is what Max is doing. Because if we compare it, then I don't need to use Max and min, right? I'll run whichever is minimum up to K.
Okay, so that is what the max is for. You are actually looking for whichever is the minimum.
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah.
I was not changing this nums 1, nums 2, so it was giving wrong answer.
Thanks, Praveen.
Yeah, thanks for being like nice one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dan, could you please share that solution?
Sure. I'll do it. Now only I'll share in chat.
And do you mind to actually put that link, what blog you are following for that?
Yeah.
Definitely. No, I'll do it.
Either share separately or put just in that code.
Yeah, actually you should
Okay, I'll put it. I'll
link somewhere in
use
the
a dustbin, I'm saying pastebin.
Yeah, I mean, personally, what I do, if I follow something like that, I put in the lead code solution, and so that it can keep it. If in future I see the solution, I can actually refer to that if I miss something.
Exactly.
so you create a playground?
No, so when I submit to the lead code, so I put as a comment in the same code.
Okay.
So when I see the
that's a
solution in
good
future,
idea.
so I will see the reference here.
Smart, yeah.
When I submit it, it will be inside that, right?
Exactly, yeah. So if in future you see the solution and somehow you are not able to follow, so you can refer to that.
Nice idea.
The same thing I do for either blog or if I am following any article or any discussion. So I just follow the reference in the code so that it's easy to follow. Otherwise,
Right.
after a couple of months, I will clueless that how I did get that solution.